Welcome to the Drive Network. I am your boy, Big Bucks. If you're tuning in for the first time, the Drive Network is a show that's driven to inspire you through what the good people around you drive and do for a living. I'm not alone today. I'm with my boy, Dylan. Dylan, how are you, brother?
I'm well, thanks on yourself, man.
Good, man. Good, man. Thank you so much for joining us. A seasoned car reviewer, content creator, and an automotive event planner. Tell me a bit about that, brother.
Which part? All of it? Or just
All of it. Just ring me in because
So-
I'm sitting here trying to think, what does it really entail to be a car reviewer, a content creator, an automotive event planner? What does that even mean?
Actually, I just said those three categories just to give you an idea because there's a lot I do.
Yeah.
Must I bring it closer?
Yeah.
Is that fine?
Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
Okay.
Great
So,
stuff.
sorry about that. So if you check on my Instagram, my name is Dylan the Petrol Head, and I love everything to do with cars. So starting out for me, it was I used to just take pictures of cars at events and post them
Yeah.
on my page. And I feel like as a car guy, we all grew up watching Top Gear.
Top Gear.
So overall, like I want to reach that point sometime in my life. We've got to get to that point. And once you're in the industry, there's just building blocks to every single thing along the way. So from taking pictures and started off hosting convoys during COVID. No one
Yeah.
had anything else to do. So we're like, you know what? I would host convoys with the meaning like the gender-based violence convoys to raise awareness or things like that. And then I got an opportunity to host drag racing, and that's where I really got into the spirit of
The spirit.
hosting, of drag racing and hosting.
And then tell me, because I believe that every single car's got a story behind it. I'm a mini petrol head myself. I'm sure you know that. So tell me, growing up, have you ever like seen a beautiful car and thought, what does that guy do, man? Or have you ever? And what did that spark if you ever had that moment?
All the time. I'm a big fan of Mercedes. I wouldn't say I'm the big fan of their latest work, but
Yeah.
I'm still a fan by heart. And I remember growing up, one of our family friends had an ML63 back in the late 2000s, 2009, 2010.
Must be a rich aunt or something.
Yeah, those type of vibes. You know, when they come to the family event, everybody just pauses and focuses on them.
Yeah.
And that's where my I think that was the time I started understanding cars, actually.
Yeah.
You know, everybody said they can love cars, but that's when my whole attitude of being a car person really started, because I want to understand how many kilowatts, how many what does this, what's this. That's yeah.
And then tell me, because I think you are in the industry and this is your profession, right? And as a young man growing up, do you always know that you want to become this that you are? And how did this come about? How do you decide to get into this? And tell me, what's the highlights and lowlights of this particular industry?
Okay. So funny thing is, career day grade 7. I wore a suit. Just wanted
Yeah.
to say I wanted to be a businessman. I didn't know what kind of a businessman, but in my head I always knew I wanted to be in the automotive industry. I remember thinking I want to own a car dealership, you know, growing up. Fast forward to going to varsity, I applied at TUT for entrepreneurship. And I remember the first day of class, they asked us if people have companies. In a class of 70 people, close to like 6 people raised up their hands, they had companies. I mean, still first year. And they said, no, guys, don't rush yourselves. If you want to start a business, do something that you love.
Yeah.
So over the course of the next few months following to that, I was thinking, like, what could I do which I love? And I just opened the page. I'm like, you know what? I'm a big supporter of our country.
Yeah.
And we have a lot to offer. I feel like out of a lot of countries in the world, there's a lot we can talk about in our country. So I said, okay, I love cars. Let me combine that. Hence the name Zanzi Petrol Heads. Bringing what the country has to offer and showing it to the guys all over the world, if I may say.
And what would you say are the highlights of being in this particular industry? And is there any barriers of entry? Is it difficult to be in this particular segment, if I can call it that?
Nothing worthwhile is easy. The highest points right now I would say is getting the cars. I mean, I drive cars which I'm far away from affording right now in my current life point.
But how do we get you to afford those cars? I understand
That's the big thing, you know. one of the biggest arguments I would have with my parents is they see that it's a hobby of mine and it's moving forward for me, but they all want someone to have something sustainable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Afford your own place, afford your own car, the whole costs. So at this current moment, I've had and lost sponsors here and there. Still looking for sponsors. That's the best way to get out there. On YouTube, there's payments coming through here and there, but generally, as a car guy, this industry is not really a smart investment.
So you wouldn't tell a younger version of yourself to be in this industry?
I would tell you, if it's your passion, follow it. But don't come here expecting the riches. If they will come naturally.
Yeah.
Don't approach situations by thinking about the money first.
I hear you. And a guy like you, man, I don't think if I'm you, I would actually need a car to buy. Is it me thinking like that, or is it wrong? And if you would buy a car, what would that car be?
You're not wrong, but at the same time, you're wrong. Simply being, it doesn't mean I have cars every week. You get new cars. Sometimes we have long-term cars for a month or whatever the period you've agreed on. But generally, the thing is, there are some weeks where I don't have cars, and you have to rely on the cars at home. And, you want something to fall back on your own.
Yeah.
So if you were to get a car, or if I were to get a car, when my finances are actually okay. Right now, it start off with something small, like a normal Polo or something just to get me by. But if I were to get a dream car, it would be a W204 C63.
Oh, you've got great taste, right?
Yeah.
and look, I searched you, I looked you up, and I even determined which favorite car you'd be looking at, right? So I did my research. I looked at the 2015 Mercedes-Benz C-Class C63 AMG, but I didn't just look at any other AMG. I looked at the Legacy Edition, right? And I went out. I found one for about 1.4 million. And I thought, let's talk around the cost of having this car. If you finance this directly at about maybe 13.75 interest rate, 72 months, no balloon, no residual payment, maybe a deposit of about 142,000, you will be, Dylan, paying around 26,300. And then obviously the interest rate is determined by your profile. You obviously need to think about insurance on that car. Obviously need to think about fuel
and warranty.
And warranty for the, look, there wouldn't be warranty, but you'd buy one. But yeah, so that's my gauging expensive taste. But maybe moving away a bit from the car, right? Where does Dylan grow up? And what's the family setup like? Where does Dylan grow up?
So, I don't want to call myself a mama's boy, but
maybe you are.
But my mom raised me and grew up in Secunda, and then from Secunda moved to Pretoria, and that's when I've been since grade 2. Pretoria is where I represent Pretoria now. I'm a full Pitori boy.
Yeah.
But yeah, let me just say Pretoria. That's like.
But growing up, how's the family set up like? Sorry. And do you still think you can get out of Secunda, come to Pretoria, dominate the industry from a car review perspective like you're doing? So
growing up, I'm Venda. So we are from So we are from a small town called Fananani, which is near Ilim in Venda, if I can call it that. And my grandfather, may God rest his soul, he was a big entrepreneur. In those small villages, you have that tuck shop or whatever, and farms and whatever. So unfortunately, by the time we were born, he was not alive. But you could see the legacy he left for us. And my grandmother held out for us. It was that thing of, you're raised in a house full of women. Excuse me.
Yeah.
My grandmother does not have sons, so I'm raised by a woman. And they just have cousins and all that. So it's just the thing of, we want to retain or bring back the status our grandfather left. So I was just determined to be successful in anything that I do. So Secunda and all that is through my mother's job. I even lived in La Palale for a while.
Yeah.
And that's the place I can say that actually built me, if I may say so. Because I grew up in Pretoria. Pretoria is quite a big place. And unless you're a big shot, you you know your place. But for someone like me who's I'm not an introvert, I'm just someone who's outgoing.
Yeah.
But I grew up maybe being called nerdy because I was just that person that have different tastes to what everyone else has. From having that and moving to a place like Lepala, which is a small town, you feel like you're a big shot from the big town, and you come in that place and you find your ego, you find your confidence, if I might put it that way. And when I got to varsity first year, that's what actually made me to be the confident person that I became, to start whatever I want to start, to know what I really want to do and see direction in the life that I actually believe I deserve.
Yeah. And to tell me, if you know now what you know, what do you tell a younger version of Dylan? What do you tell him? How do you inspire a younger version of Dylan? Or anybody that's watching that's actually trying to do something, maybe moving from Secunda, Lepala, Pretoria, to say, how do you come and play with the big boys? Because essentially, in the car industry, you are playing with the big boys.
Yeah.
Right. So somebody who's from Secunda has no information. How do you get information about this, and how do you tell a younger version of yourself knowing what you know?
Telling a younger version of myself, as much as there's so many mistakes I've made, I wouldn't want to change any of them. I've told myself I was supposed to get my success. I'm still young, at a earlier age, because I've been a go-getter from a young age. But growing up and maturing just tells me that I was simply not ready for whatever I was supposed to get. I thought I deserved at that specific time. So for a younger version of me is go through life with its trials and tribulations. Don't set your goals very low. Have high expectations. Not all of them are going to come through, but bit by bit things are going to make sense. If I may say, I did not think I would be reviewing cars.
Yeah.
I thought about it, but it was just such a complex thing to get into where I did not envision it into my 5-year plan, if I may say so. But when you put yourself in a position of opportunities, everything else around your circle may approach you. So if you're a car lover and you feel like you want to be into this industry and whatever, start somewhere. The biggest thing is to start. Open that Instagram page. Be a photographer, or I don't know, whatever it is you feel you're very good at. If you are good at bringing people together, get that guy that's a photographer. Say you're just the event planner. As I said, I've went through all the stages. I take photos, I take videos, I edit, I do all of those things self-taught because I just felt the passion. And when you're starting, no one really believes in your vision. I remember also at home, they never really believed in my vision of me wanting to do these things. Up until one day I attended a convoy and I told my brother I'm going to a convoy. He's like, and we passed him on the highway. He's like, yo, is that you in that convoy? I'm like, yeah, man. From that day, they actually saw, like, he's actually onto something.
Yeah.
But biggest things, people won't believe what you're saying. I always wanted to be also a racing driver. I remember I once told an uncle of mine, like, you know, when you're driving home and he's asking you, like, how's school? How's everything going? And I confided him, like, no, man, hopefully in the future I can race cars, you know. Doesn't have to be F1, but, you know, Kyle Army, there's a lot of circuits you can do things. I was actually hurt that to hear my aunt says, they say you're very delusional. You want to be a racing driver. And I'm like, I was just expressing my dreams, man. There's no need for you to cut me short like that. But it's just the thing of people will never understand something till they see it happening. And by then it's too late for you to actually give them the benefit of the doubt to say, this is a person that's actually behind my back. So do you, because only you got your back like nobody else.
Powerful, man. And I think for a young man who's from Secunda, you are doing great and keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
You are one of the biggest guys in the car review segments. I've told you that. And yeah, for all the doubters, look, man, it doesn't matter where you come from. What matters is where you're going. And do not crush people's dreams. But because you change cars so often, what are the 5 things that you always have in your car or move around your cars with?
Number 1 is my charging cable. Because wireless charging is a myth. Just gets your phone hot for no reason.
Yeah.
A bottle of water, my cologne, license, obviously. What else? And a bottle of water. Did I mention that already?
I think you did.
But those are just the basics.
Awesome, man. No. I think I also have a few things that I put in my car all the time.
What are they?
I'd have my charger. I'd have my, what do you call this? This fleece remover.
Okay.
I'd have my cologne. I'd have, what else? I need lip stuff or I
Also
need
that,
lip
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah.
And man, I don't know. I also need my hand lotion.
I forgot something else. I never go anywhere without a jacket
Without a jacket.
and another pair of shoes. Simply because even if it's in the summer, I don't enjoy. I love winter.
Yeah.
I don't like feeling cold. I love winter because I can justify wearing a jacket. In summer, if I come out wearing a jacket, I'm like, this guy, why is he wearing a jacket? But for me, I'm that type of a person. Once I feel cold, the whole party is over for me. I don't focus on anything else except the cold. So
Absolutely. I'm the same, actually. But Dylan, I note your favorite car, your dream car. And I think, my brother, you're doing great. You are moving towards that favorite car. But we would get you ready as well towards your favorite car to get you in a test drive of your favorite car.
I would love that.
We'll have to touch base with our partners, Ferro Auto, just to see what they have in store. Probably take you there one good Saturday for you to really put, I don't know, put some experience into that dream and hopefully get you closer to the dream.
I would say this. I recently had the Audi RS e-tron GT.
Yeah, the electric.
The
right?
electric one.
Yeah.
So it's not really the replacement R8, but it's currently just the replacement in that segment as they stopped making the R8. And during my test week of that car, I must say it made me realize a lot of things. Firstly, I'm not really ready for a supercar.
Why not?
I understand why guys drive them on Sunday.
Yeah,
it's not a
Sunday,
daily car.
Yeah, it's a Sunday ride.
It's you start understanding why. You just think, if I had a Ferrari, man, I would daily it every day. But
no, you can't.
It doesn't work like that way. That one is an electric car. Didn't notice much. Last week I had the Raptor, and it's a very, very, very awesome car.
Fuel. It's fuel
I'm
heavy.
coming to that. That's my
heavy.
point.
I don't see why I should buy that car, but I love the bike itself.
So if you my review just dropped yesterday on YouTube. Just check out my page on Zanzi Petrol Heads.
Will do.
Just checked out the Raptor review. I just said everything. I'm like, look, this is the best bike you could ever buy. Advised you just get an extra tank, simply because if you afford that car, you're not complaining about the price of fuel.
Not really.
Biggest argument on that
You'll
car
be surprised, Dylan.
No, I'm just putting it out
Yeah.
there. I mean, like, obviously you won't be down to your last dollar. Okay, let me just put it this way. If you own that car, that's not the only car you own.
Yeah.
So if you're looking to save fuel on that day, you can park that car. But generally, besides the fuel consumption on that vehicle, the tank is too small. So you won't be complaining much about the price of fuel, but the amount of times you stop.
Yeah, you fill up a lot.
Yes.
I don't think it's a car that you can take to Cape Town and
You
go
won't.
stop every
Yeah.
fuel station.
That will be
you
annoying.
see. Yeah.
And
yeah.
at the same time, it's a very tempting car.
Definitely.
Believe
I've
me,
pumped it,
it's a very tempting. I had it for a week. I spent close to 4,000 or more on fuel in 1 week, and I was driving it like a hooligan. I'm not even apologetic about
Yeah.
it because it was leaving soon. So it's not my daily car. It's just something I have for the week to enjoy. But then you start noticing with all these cars I get that owning a vehicle is not as easy as people make it seem.
Yeah.
You focus a lot on the pricing, the affordability of a vehicle, the installments and all that. And in my reviews, I choose not to really include those things. I just tell you the cost price of the vehicle because I feel like a lot of reviewers talk about those things. I believe in that the point where you come and watch my review about a car, you've already thought about buying the car. So I'll just tell you about the fun parts or
Correct.
what's that about. So different reviewers give you different insights into
Absolutely,
vehicles.
yeah.
So that's when I started noticing that I'm not ready. I need a lot of money to be the person I really want to be.
Yeah.
I need a whole lot of money. So that's one thing which, as you were talking about the edition 63 you were talking about. It's a car from 2015 and it's costing 1.4 million.
But there's a special one. That's a legacy.
Exactly.
So if you're looking for anything close to that to entry, I think you're looking at about 500K, but still a lot of money for a 2015 car, right?
I would say it's still a lot of money, but at the same time, we come into the point of, as a person who's in all sorts of positions in the car industry, whether may it be legal or not legal, don't come for me for that. I've seen how sports cars are driven.
Yeah. So you don't want to own an old one.
At this point, it's our dream cars.
Yeah.
So you really want them. Unfortunately, the time they were released, we were not the target market. Now the task is hunting down a good one, and obviously by the time, who is it? Is it Kanye West or Jay-Z that one said, if you can't buy something twice, then you can't afford it.
Yeah.
So by the time I say I'm buying that 63, I must be able to say, you know what, if they want a new engine from the start, as soon as the car comes back, make sure everything is on point. I've researched a lot on the car, common problems and everything, and those are things that are to be expected. So when you're buying an old car, you're just buying a heartbreak, which you love more.
So I see you driving the Volvo. It's an electric car, and I think the world is moving towards electric cars, obviously, to try and reduce carbon emissions and stuff. So what has your experience been with the electric car?
So I'm lucky enough to tested close to 4 different electric vehicles. Currently, I have the EX30 on test,
Yeah.
which is the smallest SUV which Volvo provides. Very, very nippy car. Does 0 to 60 in like 3.2 seconds. So it's very, very exciting.
Well, for me, it's different because I'm an ICE car. I'm an ICE
We all
person, right? I need to hear the engine sound, but with an electric car, when I drove one, there's no sound.
I get a lot of backlash as I'm Dylan the Petrol Head, and I'm all about V8s and all that. But the point is, we're moving to a different future, despite the issues we have in our country of load shedding and all that. But we're looking at the bigger picture of emissions. If you are a car geek, don't get into the whole how it's produced and whatever. We're just looking at something sustainable. Not everything's going to be fully sustainable, but it works to lower the carbon emissions down. So currently, the EX30s, I must say, is one of the most reasonably priced quality.
How much is the car, by the way?
The one I have right now is the top edition, the twin motor one, with about 300 and something kilowatts and 500 and something newton meters of torque. Starting price was it's just around $1 million.
I think that's the biggest discussion around electric cars, right? I think.
Sorry. The starting price one is 700,000. The one I have, the range topping one, is priced at $1 million.
It's $1 million. Okay, great stuff. I think it's went down a bit, but I think the biggest concerns with electric cars again in South Africa it would have been the affordability, because who buys that car for that much? I think take me through affordability and I think the livability portion, because it's a big anxiety for a lot of people.
So I'll give you an example with the e-tron. With the e-tron, it's a sports car, so which means everything is based on power. They will tell you it has a range of 400 or 500 kilometers, but the moment you put on the aircon, range tops by 100 kilometers automatically. So it's either you choose to be burning and save
I
range.
cannot burn.
You understand? But we have, like the one I had last week, I had the C40, Volvo C40, and I do not struggle with charging it. So basically you start getting to the point of, once people that are owning electric cars in terms of pricing point and in our current space in the industry, it's someone who has 3 or more cars, unfortunately.
So can it be my daily?
Yes, it can.
Take me through that.
So when I do the calculations, let's say roughly on fuel you spend 5,000 per month, which is very low for some people, but roughly, right? And we tone it down just for work. I'm not talking about your weekend rides and all that. Tone it down to you using an electric car, where you can also charge at work and at home. On your electricity bill or on the charging card at charging stations, we might cut that cost to around 2,000.
Yeah, because I think I've read somewhere and I've noted I think the charging is a bit cheaper than fuel, right? Maybe the e-tron, you charge it for around 200 rands?
No. So with the e-tron, it's a very controversial thing, right?
Yeah.
When the car came, the people from Audi had not yet prepared the charging card for me, where they load money for it. Unlike with the ICE vehicles, where you see they bring with the full tank and you see yourself, with the electric vehicles, they actually give you a card which is fully loaded, so you can just play around with it. And I have a friend who actually has electric cars, and he borrowed me his card. And it's like, which car are you driving? I'm like, the e-tron. He's like, send me 600 and load it. I'm like, maybe he's trying to scam me. I'm like, I'm sending you 300. First day of the car, I was abusing the car, just giving everyone lifts, showing them the torque the car has and everything. And the car was, I think, at like 20%. 20%, I went to Irene Village Mall to charge with a nice fast charger there. And the 300 depleted at 85%.
Wow. So it's not as cheap as it's made out to be. Is that what you said?
So it depends on this charging station. So the faster the charger, the higher the price.
Definitely.
But when you're indoors, it's only coming to your electricity bill. If you use prepaid electricity, you see the pricing is basically the same. The kilowatts which are used from your house, it just takes on how much you are loading.
And I think one thing that I think I would appreciate more about electric vehicles is something that it brings back the old way of traveling. If you're taking it on a long distance journey, you definitely have, look, the N3 is pumped with these chargers, right?
Yes.
You definitely have to pause and wait for your charge. And normally, if it's a slow charge, I think the traditional way of traveling, you would sit down and eat,
And
have a smoke break, have coffee. Safety-wise, that's great. But have you taken it on a...
So with the C40, I went to Rustenburg. It's quick in and out. The car lasted. I went to Mall of Africa, charged fast. This Friday, a friend of mine has a gig in Newcastle, and I'm like, no, let's take it down for a drive. It's about 360 kilometers away, and looking at the route, it's very funny because it picks the route for me with the chargers.
Charging ports, yeah.
And researching in Newcastle, there's not really many charging stations. So I had to call BMW Newcastle, and I shout out to them. They allowed me to come charge my vehicle there. All the dealerships allow you to charge there.
Yeah.
But basically, it shows you the route plan of there's a charging station here and here. If you're actually in a hurry, you can stop here for 17 minutes, charge, which is your break, as you were saying it. And there's another station maybe in 100 kilometers where you can stop again for 17 or 20 minutes and charge. You'll get there while the car is on 10%. So luckily, I'm not in a rush. I'm going to leave for Mall of Africa, fastest charging station in Africa. Then get to the second one, which they said I must get to, and maybe wait an hour instead of the 17 minutes so that I can just drive straight. And the funny thing about electric cars is that the range actually depends on a lot of things. Number one, your drivability, especially, like power cars. Like if you're driving, you're heavy-footed, like me sometimes.
I'm easy.
Your range goes down, but also the weather plays a part, a huge part.
Yeah.
If it's warm, your range decreases. If it's cold, the batteries are still cool. There's no need for a lot of air cooling. But basically, on the day-to-day livability of the cars, if you're going to work, if you live in Pretoria and coming to Sandton, I bet you won't regret having an electric car.
Oh no, that's great, man. I think do vlog your trip.
It's gonna be live
and
soon.
let's see for us that want to maybe swing that way. Let's look at that and let's learn from that.
No, sure, do, because either way, guys, we're going there.
Yeah.
Unlike Europe, where their regulations are actually getting tighter and tighter, we still haven't reached that point of where we talk about these things that much, because also the price is also a huge thing. But it's coming in bit by bit. And as a petrol head, kill me if you want to kill me. I'm a fan of...
I'm about to kill you.
I love my V8s. As I said, my dream car is still my dream car, but I won't daily a V8 where I'm consuming 20 liters per 100 kilometers.
Yeah.
Hey, come
No,
on,
you can't.
guy.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. It's fun, but one thing about these vehicles, today when you told me to come, I'm like, oh, cool. I'm not paying. I can just whiz through traffic and get there without worrying about petrol. So come on.
Awesome. I thank that electric vehicle that you managed to pull through. But Dylan, thank you ever so much, my brother, for joining us today.
It's my pleasure.
Like I said, let's look at trying to get you into your dream car. And thank you for making time. Your boy, Big Bucks. Peace. We out.
Thank you.
This is Bogart Radio.